Alright, so just wanted to give a quick rundown of how to calibrate your trackers. I have two trackers here. One is the one made of development boards, and the other one is the first custom board that I've made. And so the differences here are I have the touch pin connected to the switch case, so when you press your finger on that, it will act as a touch sensor. But for the development board version, you'll have to use this D4 pin, and so basically just putting your finger over that will act as a touch sensor. So when you first turn your sensor on, it's going to start blinking, and it blinks for about 5 seconds before entering into transmitting mode. During those 5 seconds, I wasn't fast enough. During those 5 seconds, if you place your finger on the touch sensor, it will turn solid, and then for every second that you're holding your finger there, it's going to blink once. And so basically you can select a few settings or options by doing this. So in this case, if I wanted to calibrate the accelerometer, I would hold for 1 second. Once I've held for 1 second and then release, it'll enter into the accelerometer calibration mode by blinking 4 times. This one doesn't have a time limit, so you can sit here as long as you want. But basically there's four different settings, or sensitivity settings. I only ever really use the first one, just because the first one is the most sensitive, but feel free to play around with the others. So to choose setting 1, I'll hold my finger there for 1 second. If I wanted to choose setting 4, I would hold it there for 4 seconds. 1. Bop. Now it's going to enter the actual calibration mode, and to do that, I have to rotate the sensor so that each side of the sensor faces up at least once. And what this is doing is calibrating the maximum and minimum values for all the axes. The way that I do this so that I don't overlap is I go towards me and then I go clockwise. Once it's done, it'll start blinking again, and then, for the first 5 seconds, and then it'll go into transmitting mode. For the gyroscope calibration, you'll simply place your finger on it for 2 seconds. 1, 2. It'll enter calibrate, or it'll ask, what sensitivity do you want. The way that the gyroscope works is that the more sensitive it is, the more accurate it is, but you can't move as fast. So the better the accuracy, the slower you have to move. So for dancing and stuff, you'll want either 3 or 4. But if you're doing very specific actions and you want it to look nice and smooth, you would use 1 or 2. I usually use 3, so I'm going to hold my finger here for 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. And then to calibrate the gyroscope, you just leave it. Now it's done. And finally, to calibrate the magnetometer, you'll hold your finger there for 3 seconds. So wait for the blink. 1, 2, 3. And there's no sensitivity settings for this one, so it'll go straight into the calibration phase. And basically what you want to do is you want to rotate it in figure 8 patterns, because just like the gyroscope, or I'm sorry, just like the accelerometer, you want the you want every side to face north at least once. And so figure 8s are the best way to do that. It's just a standard way to calibrate a magnetometer. And you'll find that the magnetometer has 2 calibration phases. The first calibrates for hard iron, and the second calibrates for soft iron. And we're done. I didn't even notice, but you know, it's gone to a nice dim light, and that means that we're in the transmitting phase. So one other thing is, while you are calibrating, I'm just going to use the accelerometer for example. While you are calibrating, you'll see it starts off dim and slowly starts to brighten up. And basically every time it gets a new value, or the brighter it is, the closer to being done it is. So if your light is getting nice and bright, it means to switch to the next side. So that way you're getting feedback and knowing that, okay, it's time to switch to the next side. That way you're not guessing. That way you're not going too fast. If the light is dim, then leave it on that side for a little bit longer. And that's pretty much it. Same thing applies to this guy, except the touch sensor is the switch casing. So that's all there is to it. Hope this helps. Thanks.